Nice. I feel like everything I do in the week is a little bit faster than that. So it always feels good to come slow down.
Right? To have a pause and just take a deep breath and see what's going on with the week.
Yeah. And
Mm.
like for me, pause is even slower than that. Everybody's like, enjoy your off day. I'm like, it's not an off day. What's your definition of off? You know what I mean? So it's like just off is completely off. Slow is slowed down even more, but I like it.
It's a different kind of rest.
Yeah, it is. It is. And, that's what I look forward to talking about. We were just talking about social media and my social media campaign that I need to start. And what's been the last post is start from rested. And that's all
Right?
they seen for like a few weeks. And I guess they're like, she's really resting. And I am. I am absolutely, I'm working too, but resting, being intentional. But we're about to talk about the 7 different types of rest. But today I'm excited to talk about this emotional wellness with you.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we're talking about healing and resilience today, which I think is so needed in these times. And how was your week? Like, what brought you some healing and resilience this week?
It's funny, healing and resilience actually came from, I'll do 2 W's. One is working, because we were just talking
Mhm.
about rest, right? And now being in New Jersey, being in a shore community, what they don't talk about when you travel to the beach from Georgia and you're like, oh, splashing in the water, so excited to be at the beach, is that when it's not the summertime and when it's not the busy season, things lull, So a lot of
Mhm.
people here are expecting to be on unemployment or have to have some type of part-time job or something to make it get through those colder months has been how it's been for decades. So I'm grateful to be able to be working full time, to get back to the steps that I like to take with the businesses, the logistics and everything at the pace that I'm usually at. I usually schedule people part-time. I'm usually in management over schedules and I have more time than I want. I'm not used to being part-time and piecing things together, unless I want to when we're in the businesses. So working.
Mm.
And then I was thinking about you earlier, writing out my wins. My
Mm.
win list was so long this week, and it usually is every week. So really focusing on that. What about you?
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've had a lot of really yummy connection recently. I've had capacity. My capacity is building coming out of those years of grief and loss. And so, pre-pandemic, I had started to build locally. And then when the pandemic happened, I had to go more globally or nationally. And then I went through those years of grief and loss. And so I just am starting to rebuild my local connections and
Hmm.
really having a good time, like having coffee and chats in person. And
Yeah.
Joe and I connected with friends that we hadn't seen in 5 years since
Mm,
right before the pandemic, and we had been to Holly celebration, and
mm,
their picture popped up on my television screen, and I was like, "I miss them." And so I
yeah.
just texted them, and they were like, "Come over for pizza and wine." And
Nice.
which to everybody who listens and knows I'm gluten free, she made
I was about to ask you.
an incredible cauliflower pizza.
Ooh,
And my friend Tina is from India, and
yeah.
she made paneer pizza. It was so stunning. I can't even put words to it. It was so good.
I need you to go into your writing brain and think about the words to it, and we could talk about it in the show because I've been
Right?
thinking
But we
about
should do
pizza.
the
Yeah,
official intro
let's
and kick
do it.
this off, shouldn't we?
Yeah,
Let's do
let's
it.
do it. Hey, y'all. I'm Shannon Mitchell, a Black millennial entrepreneur, Amazon bestselling publisher, author, and all natural product manufacturer. I'm a champion for your natural self-care, sustainable business care, and overall intentional wellness.
Hi, y'all. I'm Christine Gautreaux, a white social justice advocate, an international speaker, coach, best-selling author and publisher, and a dancing social worker who helps you upgrade yourself and community care.
Together, we are a podcast rooted in the 8 dimensions of wellness and the co-founders of Women Connected in Wisdom Community.
And we like to get together every week with special guests for intentional conversations about how to be wise in business, relationships, and wellness. How do we do this? How
Ooh,
do we
so much
do
stuff to
it?
do, so much stuff to do, and not just cauliflower pizza crust, which has been on the list, it's been on the list. Um, but emotional and mental well-being. Wow, such a big category.
Well, especially during these times, right? I think that a lot of people are feeling like the world is on fire and there's a lot of big stuff going on if you're paying attention. And so I think that that can really take a toll on our emotional and mental wellness. And I mean, even just the weather, when you think about the weather, because you're in New Jersey now, y'all just had a blizzard.
Yeah, we
How much snow did you have?
18 inches. You know,
Right.
and I've been talking to my teammates about the difference of their emotions when it's like this versus the summertime is beautiful, it's sunny for longer, things like that, you know. So the days are getting longer, which is nice. It's not dark before 5 o'clock now, but
Mhm.
definitely changes outside time and, things like that, of course.
Right, and even just being able to function sometimes, right? Getting your
Yeah.
meds that you need, getting outside, the extra chores that it puts on. I mean, I just think about there's so much that folks are dealing with nowadays, and then the other thing is we're so connected by our phones and our devices that we hear about things across the world that before we would have never been exposed to. So I think there's a lot as far as our emotional and mental wellness goes. Should I read the definition for our listeners today so they know what we're
Sure.
talking about?
Yeah.
All right. So, y'all, for our Women Connected in Wisdom definition, we talk about emotional and mental wellness is about being aware and intentional of our feelings in all situations. It includes having the capacity and tools to handle and express these emotions in a healthy manner and the ability to learn and grow from experience. Emotional well being encourages autonomy, useful decision making skills, and striving towards good mental health. What jumps out at you from that definition today, Shannon?
Yeah. I was thinking about capacity. I've been watching myself. How do I explain it? It's almost like when my best friend's mom passed away after my mom passed away, and how short the cup was for me to go any deeper to cry
Mhm,
from where to do from where to there was nothing else to
mhm,
do. There was no more capacity, basically, is what I
mhm,
found out.
mhm,
And not that I wasn't there, we were there together in the season and went through that together, but as far as um flowery, light, as if this was the first time that I heard it wasn't that. And so when we're talking
right.
about all the heaviness of everything going on now, that's where I feel like I'm at. I'm like, and I've been used to hearing stories like that, and we've been used to dealing with this. And so
Mhm,
I check myself for being cold almost because I'm so used to dealing with so much stuff
mhm,
that I'm okay
mhm,
when stuff is not okay. And so I'm surprised when other people are so not okay. And I realize how I've been not okay. Like, yeah, this is where
right,
we've been, you
right.
know, and not to minimize it. But when we talk about capacity, and
Mhm,
our guest next week actually sent us this book, The Escaping Quicksand. I've been reading about it, and she talks about capacity in the same way I did in our book. How do you maximize your capacity, right? This is not to maximize and cover the whole globe with your book cover, right? We got readers that listen. So, the book covers, like, we're not covering the whole globe and all of the news stories and all of this stuff with what we can hold, but how do you hold space for the stuff you find out about? How do you keep your life as consistent as possible to stay as centered as possible so that you can show up where you're meant to be called and where your purpose can extend? That's where I've been living with it and what
mhm.
I've been thinking about recently.
I love that. I've been thinking about the glimmers and the micro joys and ways to, in the midst of the big stuff, how to have daily joy.
Yeah.
And really seeking it, whether that's through nature, which is always one of my go-tos, or people or movement, all those things. So I'm excited to have this conversation with our guest today. You ready to read her bio and bring her up?
Yes. And what I would like to say before we bring up Harper, y'all, we have an amazing guest today. Is I love what we did, and we talk about Manifestation Mondays every now and then. Um, with the origin of Women Connected in Wisdom and how we met, right? But I was so surprised how amazing I felt at the beginning of COVID. Yes, stuff was going on. People were sick. There were these stories. And every week I'll get off the call like, I'm winning. We're winning. Like it because we were
Mhm,
keeping that list of wins. Right.
mhm,
So me doing that this week definitely helped me stay in that place that you're talking about, because that was one of my wisdoms in action, right, this past season.
mhm,
I want us to talk really lightly from psychology to social work standpoint, what are a few things that you would tell somebody to do when they're looking at the community that they see around them, whether it's digitally or in person, to help them with this? What are things that you do to keep you there?
Right. Well, I mean, I think first of all, I'm a embodied coach and my background is as a clinical social worker. And my thing is really about being in touch with our body wisdom. And it's really like checking in with yourself. Like everybody has different capacity and when you're talking about media or you're talking about the sources of news that are coming to you, check in with yourself. Like some people, they need to read instead of watch it or they need to limit it to a certain time of day. Sometimes, just being aware of when it's too much. So the next time you can pull back and it's not too much. The other thing is, what was that show? Do you remember that game show that used to be on where you could phone a friend?
Um, are you
It was
smarter
like
than a fifth
Million
grader?
Dollar. Well, it could be. It could have been the fifth grader or the millionaire, but there was always one where
Do
you
you
could
want to
phone
be
a
a
friend.
millionaire?
Like there was a
Yeah,
lifeline, right?
yeah, yeah.
And so I always tell folks, have your lifeline people to where
Mm,
if you start to spiral or if you start to like things get too much, you have somebody you can call. And I always ask because everybody's in my experience right now, everybody's like full. So
mm,
it's like asking, hey, do you have 5 minutes you have capacity for me to
yeah,
talk about something and get that consent and then have that conversation with a trusted friend and like I have my people that will tell me, when was the last time you've been outside? Like you tell me, when have you been in your labyrinth? Like when have you have your people that know you well enough to know when was the last time you danced? When was the last time you sang a song? When was the last time you wrote in your journal? And that accountability buddy, like we did through Manifesting Monday in community
yeah.
about the things that bring you joy. And the other thing I've been telling folks is I am so lucky that I have this tool chest or toolkit that has all these practices. And what I've been noticing this during these times is sometimes things that worked before don't work. Or I may need two or three of them in a day instead of one. And so that if it doesn't work, try another one, try something else. For me, music, like us dancing in, me putting on my favorite song, like and
Mhm.
I will if I'm absorbing too much like in the world, I will set it down and put on one of my empowerment songs and dance and shake it out. There is research that talks to us about that with nerves, with anxiety, with overwhelm, if you'll shake for 3 to 5 minutes, that's like put on a drum, put on a really good bass and just shake, it will help it to move through your body. So that is one of the things that's always a go-to for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks
Okay,
for
let's shoot this
asking. That was
ball.
a lot, but
Absolutely.
I can get on that soapbox.
Hey, and I'm an advocate for the soapboxes too. Okay, so I appreciate you. And we've been talking about it, so thank you for weaving those back into
Mhm.
this episode because that's so good. Okay, y'all. Today we have an amazing guest, Harper A. Bailey, the pen name for, let me make sure I pronounce her name right, Teyasha, the pen name for Teyasha Bailey, a public health leader and powerful storyteller. Harper was the first Black woman to lead a prominent national women's healthcare nonprofit where she prioritized health, equity, and amplified the voices of underserved communities. Her first book, It Was Her, a memoir, featuring a foreword by renowned motivational speaker Lisa Nichols, invites readers into a deeply personal story shaped by loss, resilience, and transformation. The narrative unfolds through four sections: running, falling, sinking, and flying, which symbolize the evolution from survival mode to a state of healing and self acceptance. Welcome to the stage, Harper.
Hello, hello. Happy to be here.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Ooh, when you think about what you do in those moments, I know we like jumped into a little bit some meat of our sandwich of a
Mhm.
conversation, right? What are things that you hold front of mind when you think about being healed and coming from a place of self-love and not survival?
Mm, that is an amazing question. So I would say in terms of things that I kind of hold near and dear when I think about healing, and because I think about it healing as a process and as a journey. So I try not to say, "Oh, I've been healed." There are some things that no longer hurt me as much as they have in the past, and I have some perspective around those things. But still on the healing pathway. So things that I think that I keep and hold center, a lot of what Christine mentioned actually around body wisdom, right? Knowing at any given moment kind of what types of things bring me joy, what types of people, who do I need in my circle, how to reach out to them, um, how to also assess how I'm feeling, because that was a part of my healing journey. I recognized over time that trauma puts you in a place sometimes where you no longer can feel. And I went through many years where I could not feel, but now I'm at a place where I have that embodiment. I also can speak about my emotions and where I am at any given moment. And I have tools. So the dancing is something that I like to do, and that works a lot. And the shaking, journaling. I've been a writer since I was 9, and so I always can find myself taking my feelings and my thoughts to the page, and that also helps me to stay centered and stay grounded. And then I would also just say my community. I check in and tap in with them often. So I look at my girlfriends, even my sons, my husband. So I'm very, very, very honored that I have a lot of family and friends that I can lean on.
Mhm. So important.
Yeah.
Love that. Okay, before we ask another serious question, I
Mhm.
need to know from all of us, what
Mhm.
is your go-to dance song right now?
Ooh,
What you
you
dancing
know,
to? What's bringing it?
I would say, and it's a dance and sing, it's Stevie Wonder As. If I turn that on, I mean, that song takes me up and down and all the way around, and
Yeah.
it's just the beauty around just nature and the cycles and, like, the importance of love and how to really bring it to you. So that would be my go-to. I can turn that on and I'm ready. Yep.
Mm.
Nice. I've been thinking about this question because we talked about it the other week, and I was laughing because I have a whole new playlist now. You sent me a playlist, but this playlist is from Coach Co. Shout out to Coach Co because she just published her book, right? One of our authors, y'all. And on her reel, she shared this God's Got Me. And that's been
Mm.
like in my mind. I've been playing like that's my song right now. So a little bop,
Mm.
a little yeah, I'm backed up. It's okay, and
Right.
I know I talked about being cold, and sometimes people are detached, right? I wouldn't
Yeah.
say that. I would just say when I found myself there, and when I feel myself there in different moments, I realize that I'm holding the space that I can for everything that I can already. It's not because I don't care, or if I hear a unfortunate story, I'm not gonna know what to say about it. But it's because that's what I do. What you were talking about, Harper, like a scan of where am I at? How
Mhm.
do I feel? And I've been reading Eileen Dillon's book, one of our authors. She helps with emotions, Harper, and she talks about how our emotions are teachers. And I know that
Mhm.
in concept, I knew that when I helped her publish her book, right? And when I'm upset or something is going on, I'm not thinking about, hey, this anger is your teacher right now? So that's what I've been working on.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But it
When you,
is all day,
I
right?
know, I
Right.
know. So
Mhm.
when you think about the different phases that you walk through in your book, right? You have
Mhm.
the parts running, falling, sinking, and flying. Is
Mhm.
that something that you feel like you went through or like you go through every time you come around this cycle of event that's happened?
Mm. So I would say for sure that is the process that I went through in really reclaiming my wholeness and making my way back to myself, right? The story onto itself really kicks off with the transition of my mom, which just knocked the air the out of my lungs, and just I when I tell you all, I thought my life was over when my mother crossed over. Not that I had not lost anyone before, but this woman, she was supposed to live forever. That was the conversation we talked about and that we had and the deal we had. And so when I wrote the story and really spending time thinking about kind of unpacking my healing journey with my therapist and other healing modalities, I realized that I was in the wilderness, what I call the wilderness, for 9 years, where I felt like I was still moving forward with my life because I know that's what my mom would have wanted me to do. but I was not at all in the position or did not hold the tools to help to process her passing, that macro grief, and other things that had happened before she left. And so the story follows these different parts because it really helps you see that I spent a long time, even well before my mom transitioned, running from myself and my mistakes, things that hurt me, people who hurt me, situations that brought about a lot of shame and regret. But still running towards the thing, not realizing that I was also running from myself, which was a whole nother revelation. Falling, but always getting back up, right? But not staying down because it's like, that's not what we do. I was raised by some very strong women in my life that things happen, you scrape your knees, you get up, you dust them off, and you keep moving. We don't have time to sulk. We don't have time to do that. But they, now I know, also didn't have the tools to process. That was their way of processing what had happened. And once you fall multiple times and you keep running from yourself, you get to a point where your body, you just hit a wall. And so for me, that was the sinking, where I experienced extreme burnout. All of the things, all of my tactics of running from myself, of getting the new job, moving into the next thing had really caught up to me into a way that there was no other way that I could keep going until I really looked back to see where I had come. And it wasn't until then where I actually opened up the treasure chest, where I had kept all the things that I buried in there, that I was able to really make my way back and see how I got to where I was at today and putting myself in a place where I could make different decisions, different choices, being able to experience my mom in the metaphysical, like that she wasn't available to me because I was so caught up in the loss and the grief. And I felt like I was able to fly and really come back. When I say come back to myself, I think that for me, I truly believe, and I say this every time, and I want people to know that I believe that wholeness is our birthright, that we all come into this world whole, whether we believe it or know it at all, whether we know it or are feeling whole right now in this moment. And life comes at us fast, right? It chips away at us. And sometimes you feel the pieces of your heart breaking sometimes, and you can feel very broken. However, wholeness is yours. It belongs to you. And it's up to you to reclaim something that already belongs to you. And so once you come and you get to a place where you know yourself, you can see the things that have happened. You have self awareness, because I think that's what we've been talking about a little bit about really knowing who we are, how we show up. And there's alignment, right, between who we say we are and how we show up. Then we will still experience hardships in life, but we have everything that we need to be able to work through them, not over them, not around, but to go through. And so I do believe that that is kind of those stages, were what I needed to go through. Now, when hard things happen, there's no running because I know running doesn't serve me anymore. Um, I do have new tools that I can use. I have my therapist, I have my journaling, I have embodiment, I have my community, I have color, I like to build. So I'm always assessing and thinking about ways to bring joy closer to me so that I can show up as the best version of myself. And that to me is like the biggest gift that I feel like I've ever been able to give to myself.
Oh, I love that, Harper. I love that phrase you just said, ways to bring joy closer to me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
be my wisdom in action, hashtag keep joy close.
Yes.
Yeah, and I did start coloring again. I have my little
Good.
let me show y'all, I got my little the pastels, okay, the
Mm-hmm.
pastel, my
Mm-hmm.
sharpener, because you need a sharpener, okay?
Yes.
It's a big it's just in case have a little variety, but I
Mm-hmm.
love that you color. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, just ways to bring the wonder and the awe back into your life. So a lot of things that feel like, oh, as a little kid, I used to enjoy this thing. Bringing those things back, I think, just lights me up.
I love
Lights me
holding
up.
on to them, and that's what
Mhm.
I was gonna ask. And Christine, I wanna know your song too, because I realized that we didn't ask your song. Um, but Harper, I was gonna ask, do I remember? I don't think, nope, I think I went to Christine's song. So if I remember Harper, I'll ask you. But
I'm here.
Christine, I do want to pass it back to you because I asked Harper a question before I asked you your answer.
That's
What's your
okay.
story?
I always have a playlist of songs, but my friend
Yeah.
Linz Roberts out of Colorado sent me this song about a
Mhm.
week ago and said, I heard this today and thought of you. So I have been, first of all, that just warmed my heart. And then second of all, it was an awesome bop song. It's called Grateful, and it's
Okay.
a grateful song by Shift to Abundance. And
Mm,
it's really, it's fire. Like I've been doing
nice.
my exercises to it in the morning. And then the other one is Living My Life Like It's Golden.
Oh,
Like I
classic.
love that song, right?
Classic.
Somebody
Classic.
from
And
Philly.
Yes.
so those two I've been like going back and forth to, just
Mhm.
bringing, music brings me joy. And
Hmm.
It
so
does.
I have a couple of playlists that I use on the regular.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
was laughing one day, y'all. I was out for a friend's birthday, and this guy was trying to hit on me. He's like, "What type of music do you listen to?" And I'm thinking about my lo-fi and all my relaxing music, and I'm like, "That is not what he wants to hear." Not that I care, but I definitely like keep it, like you're saying, either fun, boppy music that I can dance to, or calm stuff that'll keep my vibes at a certain place so I can get my work done. I love that.
Hmm.
Okay. I love how you said wholeness is your birthright. This season, we were talking about abundance being birthright,
Hmm.
right? So those two things are part of what I love sharing stories like yours about, sharing resources like yours. Because not only writing a book and sharing your story, sharing what it used to be like, so you know what it's like now, but also how you got this forward. I would love for us to talk a little bit about Lisa Nichols, um,
Hmm.
in your writing process and how she came to be the person to write your forward. Because a lot of times I think that we think about things happening a certain way, especially when things are hard. We go back into the way that we used to think about it. So can you tell us what that was like for you?
Yes. So, just a little bit about the story. I can't take a lot of credit for this. Yes, I wrote the book, but I will tell you, this experience was definitely one that was deeply spiritual. It came, I like to say it's a God idea, something that I knew that it didn't belong to me, but I knew intuitively, like, oh, this is something I need to do. When the idea came to me, it was like, oh, you're going to write a book. Not a problem. I'm very imaginative. I grew up as an only child. I'm going to write about lions, tigers, and dragons. Why not? I like
Mm,
fiction work. Not, I can do that. And my spirit was like, "Nope, we gotta go there. It's gonna be a memoir." And I was like, "Oh, there's no way." At that time, I was still working through my healing, working with my therapist, recognizing that I had turned a corner, but did not feel like I had a story within me just yet that I could share with other people. So I put it down for some time. But the thing about it, when something comes to you by way of spirit, it'll keep coming. There will be a nudge, right? So, you'll watch something on TV and this lady just wrote this wonderful memoir. And I'm like, yep, good for her. Yes, he wrote a memoir. Or a friend would call me and say, oh, I just read this amazing book about so and so. And guess what? It's a memoir. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know what? I see what's happening here. And yet I'm like, I'm not ready to write about this thing, but I'm going to try. How about that? Let's just see if that'll tell my insides to hush. So I started writing. It kicked off with the first chapter with my mom, which is a boom. It's a doozy. I knew it. The story had to start there. She's such a big part of my life. I couldn't get through the first months, 4 pages in. I was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to write a story. Boom, close the book, keep it moving. Maybe 4 months go by. I wake up and I am a vivid dreamer and I was yelling out of my sleep. I will do it. I will do it. And I'm yelling at my husband, like, what is going on? I was like, I just got in a fight with the ancestors. And I'm literally breathless, y'all. I need you to know, like, it is a thing. Got out barely with my life, within an inch of my life. I lost the fight. The ancestors told me I have to write this story. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but I got to write it. Period. That's it. So I ended up gifting myself a writing retreat at my favorite hotel in Chicago. I wrote a dissertation. I'm a writer. I can do this. I can do it. I went in with the goal to leave with an outline for the book by whatever way I could get there. I need y'all to know I checked in on a Friday morning, and by the time I left, I had the full outline in my hands.
When did you leave?
I left Sunday afternoon. I sprung for the late checkout. I was like, I need all the time. But by Sunday morning, I had the outline. So the chapters and everything that you all see today, I had those in my hand, like how it would start, how it would end. Some of the titles, I could not believe it. When I left the hotel, I was like, okay, I know I need a plan. In order to write this thing, the only way to get it done, I have to have a plan. So I said, you know what? I'm going to do 3 writing sessions a week, 1,000 words each time. That's all. Create this ritual. So I had a beautiful ritual and plan of how I would go about it. Because I knew the ancestors were very involved, I put together an ancestor shrine. So I had pictures of my loved ones who had crossed over that I would pull out. I had a candle I would light every time. I always had music. Sometimes it's Kendrick Lamar because I was feeling feisty. Other times it's Billie Holiday. You never know. I went all over the place. But I would also journal every time. And so I spent time mining through my journals, my very first diary that I still have from the age of 9. And it dawned on me, and I saw Lisa's name in one of my entries. And I looked up and I was like, could she be the foreword writer? I was like, nah. But it stayed on my heart like, okay, maybe there's something here. There's something here. And I ended up reaching out to one of my aunts who I talk a little bit about in this story. Some time had went by. So I was like, I had it in my heart that I wanted Lisa Nichols to write the foreword. I had no idea how I was going to make it to her. I had followed her story, like many of us, was a fan, watched The Secret, all the things. And
hey, y'all, this is a great place to take a break and hear from our sponsors. Anything we want to shout out?
Absolutely, y'all. It is 2026 right now. It depends on when you listen to this replay, right, or where you are in the world. But right now, the doors are open for Volume 3. So if you love, hearing these types of stories, if you love being connected, and you also have a resource, you also have a story that you would like to share with Women Connected in Wisdom, get tapped in. Whether you're on the link, listening to the podcast, or on our link tree, there's a link there. Put in the information for the interest form to Volume 3, and we'll add you to our list of people that we're reaching out to. But, after Volume 2, I was like, I have more to say. I wonder if we're going to have another book. We didn't do it last year, so don't wait till the next time. If this is a time and you feel that tug on your heart, see if Women Connected in Wisdom is the right fit for you, and we would love to have you join us.
Yeah, we're looking for 24 authors. And you know what I love? Not just walking through the process, because we do all kinds of classes about writing your bio and your storytelling, and I love all of that. But I also love the publishing part and walking people through how to be a best-selling author. Yes. And then I love our summit that comes afterwards. I missed having our summit last year, where then we walk our authors through how to be speakers and how to open up those doors as a best-selling author into speaking and letting the world hear your voice and hear your purpose and what you're doing in the world. It's just, I don't know, it lights me up. So I can't wait to meet this cohort of authors and see what they have to say.
That's what I'm waiting for. I wonder who's going to be on the list. What stories are we going to be sharing? What are we going to be reading through? And I love seeing the impact, the people who come to the conference who may not physically be able to get there in person, but they can come join our virtual events and what we've been doing over the last few years. So get connected, y'all.
I was mentioning to my aunt, like, I have another God idea here. And I'm just like, I'm going to put it out there. I kid you not. My aunt is on the phone and she's very quiet. She's like, that's very interesting. She's like, I don't know if you know this, but Lisa Nichols used to be on our platform at our church when she first started out being a motivational speaker. And I was like, no way. No way. She was like, I think I know some people who might work with her. What? So that was lesson number 92. I would say one, but number 92, that I want people to know that when our dreams are placed on our heart, these desires, they're very real. You have everything that you need to bring that thing to you and to make it happen. Everything, right? There's no dreaming up that I could have done to this. I look up a couple of weeks later, I'm on the phone with someone who used to be Lisa Nichols' chief of staff, who was still in touch with her, who was, from the minute I met her and told her about the book and what the book was about, she was like, wow, you're a new writer and you're looking to get someone like Lisa Nichols. Even she was like, okay, very ambitious. But once she understood the mission and what I was looking to do with the book, and that I saw this being much bigger than just a book and a story, but that this was a story and an invitation for others to see themselves in between the lines. Yes, I would be the person sharing and bearing my soul, but it was an invitation for others to also see themselves. It also is like a part of a larger dream to open up a healing center with different modalities all under the same roof. So she understood, like, oh, this is a big thing. And I think Lisa would be interested in that. Fast forward, you guys. I still don't know how I'm going to get in front of Lisa, but I'm like, it's okay. I'm out there. Everybody knows it. I am a person that writes affirmations on my mirror. I called Lisa's name every day, y'all, for a good 6 months. Lisa Nichols is the foreword author of my best-selling memoir. And I said it every day. You look up December of 2020, so it's 2025, 2024. Lisa is doing her one night only, one woman show on Broadway. I follow her on Instagram. She's like, this is such a big thing. I'm like, oh my God, I'm having a big thing too, Lisa. So I felt like we were just connected in that way. I get a call from her colleague and friend saying, hey, Lisa's having this big thing. It's in a week. You should come with me. This is a good time. There's a big party. This is the time to get your answer, to talk to her. And I'm like, still, how am I going to get from her from this? Again, still trying to do the technical thing, right? When you're manifesting, you're like, oh, how is it going to work? The how isn't your business. It has, no. Stay leaned in on the intention, right? And the desire. Let the universe, let God work out the details. She was like, I got you. Don't worry. I'm going to send you the link. We're going to the show. We'll be in it. I got scared, y'all. I need you to know I had a moment because I was like, this is too easy. How is it that I went from not at all knowing how I was going to get to this woman to knowing someone who knew her to knowing like that I'm going to actually be in the same room with this woman? Like, how? But still, she's on the stage. I'm over here. How is this going to work? Get the tickets, go to the VIP party. Lisa Nichols, the show is amazing. She shares like 8 stories. Some of them we've heard, some of them we have not. And I mean, she's on the stage the whole time. She's changing clothes. And I mean, I'm inspired from the moment she just gets on the stage. And I'm like, oh my God. And I have my manuscript with me. I still don't know exactly how I'm gonna get this thing to this lady. We go to the party and Lisa comes down the staircase looking like a goddess. She done changed clothes and she tells the speech of a lifetime. She's like, y'all, I need you to know this thing has been on my bucket list. I never knew how I would make this happen, but I always knew that this was going to happen. I'm going to tell everyone in this room. And at this point, y'all, I just felt like Lisa was talking to me. She was like, if there's anything on your heart, anything, any desire, anything you want to do, it's yours. It's already done. Just go make it happen. She's like, 2025 is your year. And I'm like, yes, it is. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. That's it. I'm getting to her. I don't know what I have to do, but I'm going to make it happen. And I still didn't have to work hard because when I tell you, the same person who ushered me, got me there, took me straight to the front of the line. When Lisa was on the red carpet, I got a chance to meet her. Her and my aunt were talking, and I was looking like my aunt knew her the whole time and never said anything. Like, oh my God. Got a chance to talk to Lisa, put in the ask, and then work with her team to make it happen. And when I tell y'all, I still marvel at how that happened and that I got a chance to, after she hit the red carpet, for her to come and talk to me and like hold my hands. You know, when you think about like, oh my God, when you meet your superhero, are they going to be everything you thought they would be? She was that and a bag of chips, like held my hands. And she was just like, did you see yourself in my story? Did you? I mean, just so warm. So
Yum.
like she could see the dreamer in me and she was like, go for it. Like you got it. You got it. And put me in touch with her people and y'all, the rest is history.
I love it. And y'all, the forward is amazing. And Lisa Nichols' voice, right?
Yes.
And we talked about Harper, you being an amazing storyteller. You could tell the difference. You know, Lisa did not this was not her opportunities to tell her story. She has those opportunities. She supported you and shares why she wanted to do the forward. And the beginning of that story, so good. So yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I loved what you said about the how is not ours to know.
Mm-mm.
That leaning in and that desire. And I was always taught too that you feel it. Like you feel like when it comes true. And that's radiating out of you as you tell this story, Harper.
Yes.
Like the
Yeah.
joy and the
Mhm.
awe. Like there's an
Mm.
awe to it.
Mhm.
And I really resonated when you said how nervous you got. So I've been really lucky in my opportunity to be invited to some big things. And I always say yes. Like I'm always obedient and say yes. But then I
Good.
freak out afterwards, right? Then I get a really big freak out. And we have one of our authors that I called one time after one of these opportunities and I was having a freak out and she said, Christine, they have welcomed you. Now
Mm.
I want you to welcome yourself.
Yeah.
And I still have that I still coach myself through that because
Mhm.
I think it's real, and I don't think we talk about that enough, as women sometimes, is
Yeah.
like our dreams, and wasn't it Marianne Williamson that said, we're more afraid of our light than we are of the darkness?
Mhm.
That when our dreams are, like, right there, that can be really scary, and so
Mhm.
having those tools in practice to welcome ourselves, and
Yes.
it seems like you're like, "No, that wouldn't happen, Christine. If this showed up, like, I would jump." But it is very interesting the way we roll as humans that
Mhm.
especially when it's out of the norm, I found. When it's out of our comfort zone, it's our learning zone.
And I wonder what you ladies think about this. I saw a post that was talking about the difference between difficulties lived through and
Mm.
difficulties chosen. It's all this stuff I can say. It was difficult. God got me through. I started laughing in middle school, wasn't depressed. I worked on all this stuff, but the weight of the situation wasn't mine that I built, right? And now I'm a serial entrepreneur and it's 5 years in and it's, well, how is the weight sitting with the things that you choose for yourself? It does feel a little different. So what do you ladies think about that?
Hmm. I hadn't even thought about it in that way. I just think it's different once you feel like you've overcome something and you're looking back on it. Like, of course, when they say hindsight is 2020, I think you have a different perspective. But the thing that I think Christine and I are talking about is that when you have a dream that even feels so out of reach for you, and I'm a dreamer, like I can see Jupiter from here with my eyes closed. Like that's just how I was born. But even when the ease of the dream and it comes to you in a way where you're like, this is my reality, and you have a moment where it scares you a little bit. And that I think it's normal. I
Mhm.
think it's normal. I'm happy in your situation that you had someone to actually check you and get you going. I had a friend that I called who I said, "Okay, I got this opportunity. This is what I need to do." And she's like, "And why are you calling me?" She
Mhm.
she was like, "Get off of my phone. I have a call at noon. You have literally called Lisa's name for the last 6 months, and she is
Mm.
here. You just gotta show up. You have until noon
It's
to
show
buy
up.
your plane ticket and the ticket to the show." Click. And I was like, "Oh,
Now that's a good friend.
that's a good
That's a good
friend."
friend.
Yes. She snapped me out of it. She was like, "Yo, what are you doing? This is the thing you want. You're not gonna be this close. Not on my watch. You're not gonna be this close and then let fear win. No."
Right? And that's the thing, is the self-sabotage or the fear. Like, and I think it is really normal. You just when you said that, Harper, it made me think of my husband when we had gone through a corporate layoff and we wrote down everything he wanted in a job. I
Mm.
mean, some things I didn't agree with. I'm like, what are you saying? But he was like, "It's my job. I get to manifest it." I'm
Mhm.
like, "All right." And, because at the time he had a female colleague that he was really struggling with, and so he to work with an all-male team. Well, he's married to a feminist and he has 2 daughters, and I was like, "Excuse me?" And he was like, "Look, this is just what I need at this moment."
Yeah.
But, so he wrote it all down, and then he gets this job interview, and it was his first, big job interview after the unemployment, and they offered him more than he had written down because
Mhm.
he had said this or more, and he paused and was like, "Well, it's the first one, should I take?" I'm like, "Wait, what? You just wrote down everything you wanted, they gave you more. Why would you even consider not taking it?" But I
Mhm.
think that what you're talking about, that fear or
Mhm.
the, you know, "Am I worthy?" Or
Mm.
am I allowed to have this? And the answer is yes,
Yes.
right? The
It's
answer is
yes.
yes.
Yes. And we often need that reminder. Even when you have those moments, you're like, yes, yes. Even though I was there, I felt like I was in a dream and my feet were levitating while Lisa's holding my hands. I'm like, this is not even real. I need you to
Probably were. Did somebody take a picture when
I
you
do. I have a
levitated?
picture. I probably were, right? We got a picture because I was like, I need a picture with you. Because when I go back and tell people about the night that I had, my friends will believe me. But I'm like, I don't even believe it because this just is
Right.
not like, how
Right.
does this thing happen? But what's for you won't miss you. And
Right.
so
Oh, say that again for the people in the back.
what's for you won't miss you, right?
Mhm.
And it's not about how long it takes. It's not about how you get there. What's yours is for you. And that is the thing that we have to remind ourselves. And fear is, man, it's deadly. It can be deadly, which is another reason why you need to have people around you. You need to have tools, right? To be able to ask yourself questions like, is fear driving right now? And am I even in the car and fear is in the driver's seat and I'm in the passenger, or am I in the back seat, or am I even not in the car and fear done left me? Because that's happened too before, where
Mm.
fear just done ran off, okay? Got all my contents, my thoughts, and I'm like, oh man, you won, you got it. And that's when I know I have to check in with myself. Like,
Right.
no, because it's something that seems, and I don't know exactly where it really became this thing, but it's like a default setting sometimes when something too good to be true is like about to happen, or something exciting happens. You have a moment where you're like, wow, life is good, and you're looking around and you're like, uh-oh, is the other shoe gonna drop? What is
Right.
that? What?
That foreboding joy, like that
I
we don't
mean,
allow ourselves to have it, is real also.
it's real. And so, but just being honest with yourself and checking in is so important,
Right.
and just being clear about what it is that's on your heart, right? And leaning into that intent. So
Well, we noticed with our authors in book 1 and book 2 around emotional and mental wellness, it was also interesting what comes up when you're doing a lifelong dream. Uh, and sometimes in your environment and the people around you. And it's very telling sometimes
mhm.
about, we are big believers in collaboration over competition and celebrating each other's wins. And not all the world works like that. So dealing with that as you're going for big dreams or big deals and having to process all those emotions that go along with, you published a book, you're a
Mhm.
bestseller.
Mhm.
You now, some of your most vulnerable thoughts in a
Mhm.
memoir are out for the world. Like,
Yes.
how did you deal with that, Harper?
Oof. Well, I will tell you, writing the book, because it was such a spiritual experience, there would be moments, and which is another what I'll talk a little bit about why chose to write under a pen name. But because it was such a spiritual experience and it was a dream that I knew that, yes, I am the steward of the dream, but it's not for me. You're writing this book and it's for others. That really helped set me up for a different level of success there, because it's about me, but not about me, which allowed me to go there in a way that I don't think I would have ever been able to go there. Um, I Another thing that I think in terms of just timing, that what the dream with the God idea to write the book actually came a couple of years before I actually published the book. So there were still things that needed to happen in my life and certain things that needed to be orchestrated so that I could be truly writing from a place of the wound, right? Not the scar and not the wound. How about that? Where there's nothing in that book that I'm like, oh, I have shame around, guilt, any of that. These are situations. These are things that have happened to me. I have clarity around those situations. I have a lot of peace around them, and so I can share and could go there. Part of the reason why I also think I was able to go there is because when I would go into these writing sessions and this ritual and like this turning on the music, turning on the incense, pulling out my shrines, speaking to my grandmother, seeing little me with my mom, like all of that really put me in a place where I truly was in a state of co-creation between God and the ancestors and me. Nothing else mattered. And so when I would write, y'all, I could barely keep up because the thoughts were just coming. The memories, things I'd have forgotten, came back to me in a way that I'm like, oh my God, I can close my eyes and see this thing and write about it. So much so that when I would leave the ritual, like leave the session, close it out, I would come back and I would open it and I'd be like, oh my God, I wrote that? Wait a minute now. Hold on now. whoa, wait, now I know I said I was gonna go there. Am I gonna go there right there, right now? Oh, whoa, whoa. And
You were
every
in the
time
creative zone,
I
in
was
the
in the
genius
creative
zone.
zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And every time my spirit would say, yes, you gotta go. Yes, this is needed. And then I had my husband who was my alpha reader because there were a lot of things that in the story that I had talked to him about, but maybe not at the same level of detail, or maybe depth, or some things that, like some stories that I honestly genuinely had not like unearthed, but came up as part of writing and that I processed with my therapist that I hadn't shared with him. So having him be the alpha reader was also like a grounding experience for me, and just more of confirmation, like, yes, just keep going. Just keep going. And I'm grateful that I did. I'm grateful that I went there. I'm grateful that I didn't allow fear, right? Or the thoughts of others to get in the way of the story that needed to be told, right? That doesn't have a hold on me anymore, but I'm hoping serves and can unlock the stories in others, because we all have stories.
Yes, beautiful. And I haven't finished reading it, but I can imagine, the idea of I don't even want to share any of it if they haven't read it yet.
Okay.
But let's say this because you've shared a little bit, right?
Yeah.
Running from situations, running from yourself. We'll say it that way, right? I
Mhm.
think that it helps a lot of people. I was talking to my friend a few years ago, and she was talking about trips going on and it looks great. You go on social media and another trip and another trip, and she was not okay. So
Mhm.
to know that and to know that people run and that can bring shame. Even one of our authors wrote about it in our book, how she was in New York in the foster care system and she was just running since she was like 12.
Mhm.
I think that helps people identify with where they are, identify with the pace, and forgive themselves for going that fast. And then what you
Mhm.
were saying earlier, I have been thinking about this idea of like a processing table, so it helps you slow down and all that stuff that you were trying to run from now that it's beside you and not behind you or wherever it was going, right? How do we
Mhm.
process it and get through it so we can really get back to that wholeness that you're talking about?
Yeah.
So yes, I commend you on doing the hard work and
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you.
Mm.
Thank you. Yes. And I think I can identify with your friend too about presenting one way, right? But what's going on, the insides and the outsides didn't match.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that was something that I knew for a very long time, but I was used
Mm,
to pretending.
mm,
I'd got to a place where it was like, I can show up one way. I can perform professionally. I'm doing really well when it comes to going to school and getting the degrees and doing all
yeah.
the things, right? Checking all the boxes that society says you need to check in order to be happy. But happiness would show up, but for just 2 minutes at best.
Mhm.
And then it would leave me again. And then I was stuck with all of the things of like, okay, now what's next? Where's the next
Right.
mountain? Because I was just so used to running. And so now having this, letting people see that, even if someone presents and looks as though that they have everything together and that they're well, you got to check on your strong friends. Okay. Check on the people who look like they got it all together and got all the answers, because chances are they probably are. Chances are they might be doing a lot of masking. Chances are they don't believe that they can be in a place where they can be soft and allow themselves to come undone. One of the stories that I think I kept telling myself over and over again was, if I fall apart completely, would I have what I need to put myself back together?
Mm.
That was my biggest
Ooh,
fear.
that's a powerful question, right?
Hmm.
Would
That
I
was
have what I need to put myself back together?
Mm.
yes. And the answer was yes. But you're not reconstructing who you used to be. You're actually constructing the person you say you want to be, right? And who you truly are, who God made you, right?
Right.
That is what you're reconstructing. You're starting from beginning
Oh,
Yeah.
in order to go forward. And so
So important.
here we are.
Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
So, of course, I shared mine, based on what we talked about. And this has been something that is something I keep constant. And when you do that, I feel like sometimes it's almost like gratitude. One year I was in high school and the lights had just been cut off and they came back on. I was like, I'm so grateful for the house. We have lights. And the next day, I think the water got cut off. I said, I forgot to be grateful for the water. Like, how can you stay grateful for everything? There's just so many blessings, is what it really is, right? And that's how I feel like it is with joy. So I'm going to stay on this really intentional, keep joy close, because I
Yes.
had gotten away from looking at the wins. We're talking about logistics, but what about the joy? That's my wisdom and action for emotional and mental. What about you, ladies?
I love that.
Thank you.
Whew. Yeah, I think that the way that I'm able to keep joy close is I stop chasing joy outside of myself, and stop looking everywhere else, and actually learned how to become the joy.
Yeah.
Oh.
And so I think that's the piece, knowing what lights me up and being able to bring that to myself over and over and over again.
I love
So,
that. And
So
yeah,
that sounds you would hashtag it and say become the joy.
yeah.
Oh, I love that.
are
Mhm.
you saying that that's what your wisdom and action is?
Yes, it's to become the joy. Yes, that way. That's another way of keeping it close, right?
Right.
Because you are it. It is you. You guys are one and
Yeah.
the same. Mhm.
I love that. I've been thinking
Mhm.
about it like pouring more. We talk about pouring from a full cup. So when a lot of stuff is going on, I'm like, okay, just like Christine said, let me add 2 or 3 things, however many I need to the list. Maybe I need more than one, but I love how you said become the truth.
Mhm.
Mhm.
What about you, Christine? What are you working on this
I
week?
don't know. I'm sitting over here thinking because I love all these joy ones, but I think I'm going to add in a hashtag dance more because
Mm,
our talk about music and singing inspired me. And that is always my emotional mental wellness. And
yeah.
Joe had a minor back strain. So we haven't Zumbaed in we just had to take a week off. And
Wow.
so I'm feeling a little bit of a dance deficit. So I've got to
Yeah.
dance more this week for
Mm.
that for me.
Yeah, dance on behalf of, right?
Yes, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
who's dancing with you in spirit? Yes.
Right?
Yeah, Joe, I
Mhm.
hope your back feels better soon. I know y'all love to Zumba. And that's one of mine too, Christine. I've been dancing and listening to,
Mhm.
these playlists that you and Co are inspiring. So I appreciate you ladies always.
Mhm.
And
Mm.
Harper, I know we talked a lot about your book. We talked about Lisa Nichols. We talked about a little bit about your surname, but not about why you decided to have one. And I have a question about your nonprofit and like to take it into business because, like we
Mm.
said, the strong friends a lot of times don't get to have these conversations. And I
Yeah.
would love to know what it was like. But first, the surname. What made you choose Harper A. Bailey?
Yeah. So my pen name is actually the name of the daughter that I never had. I'm a mom of 3 boys, and when we were pregnant with my second child, I was like, "Oh, I gotta have a girl. We're gonna be a girl. It's gonna be a girl." I had the name Harper A. Bailey. Then got a boy. Okay, that's fine. The third baby comes, it's a boy. Okay, put the name to the side. As I was writing and really just kind of experiencing this very spiritual, um, kind of like, I feel like teleportation back into my past, right? But with the help of God and the ancestors, I realized when I was in that space, I wasn't a professor. I wasn't a consultant. I wasn't a mom. I wasn't even a wife. I was just free. And I was like, you know what? I want to wrap this up in something that's so special. And I want to use a pen name. And some of my favorite authors actually use pen names. So I'd have been, like, oh, this would be a great way to pay homage to them as well. And my spirit was like, you already have the name. You already have the name. And so Harper Ava Bailey, that's who I am.
I love that. Will
Mhm.
you tell our listeners how to reach you and how you work with folks these days? And we're going to have
Yeah.
it all in our show notes, but we want you to say it in your voice too.
Okay, so you can check me out on my author website at harperabailey.com. I'm also on Instagram, building community, sharing wisdom, and talking about the things that I'm into these days. So you can find me on Harper_A Bailey on IG. In terms of just my work and what I do outside of being an author, I work as a consultant, work with a lot of healthcare organizations, do a lot of public speaking, strategic planning. And I am, excited to be um, able to add author to my long list of accomplishments. And I'm excited to at some point in time, be able to move more fully into my creative space. The thing about birthing a baby is like you get more ideas. Once you give birth to something that's so beautiful, you're like, oh, I want to go to labor over and over and over again. So I have all these ideas and they're like fiction works. And I'm like, oh, I already have this series in my mind that I want to start creating. And also, when I released this book, I had a vision around the audiobook and really what I wanted it to be and to be an experience, like a movie in your ears. So working on that and getting that out there in the world and having it be scored by a producer and all that fun stuff. So because I know people like to experience, their books in different ways. So that's another project. So be on the lookout for that. So more exciting things ahead, but I'm just
Oh my
happy to be
gosh,
able
that
to
is so good.
be out here.
So good.
Yes.
Yes.
I love
Thank you so much for your work in the world. Thank you for putting your story out here for others. And we are just so grateful to be connected.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. And thank you to both of you for creating a space for people like me to come out and share my story, share my wisdom, what I know and what I don't know, because we're all on this journey together, right? And so I just think it's so important to have spaces like this for us to connect and learn and unlearn and relearn again. So
Mm.
kudos to both of
Well,
you.
Thank you so
thank you so much. And we will put all your info in our show notes so our listeners can find it. If you're driving, jogging, whatever you're doing while you're listening to the podcast, no worries. Just go to womenconnectedinwisdompodcast.com and you will have it right there. So thank you, Harper. We look forward to staying in connection and we're so grateful. Thank you.
Thank you.
absolutely.
So good. Mm, mm.
Yes.
I love hearing other authors' journeys too. It just lights me up.
I love being surrounded by authors. And now
Mhm.
I have authors send me their books. It's like I could have a whole library of people that I know. They signed them. I've talked to them. Like I know them in real life. Like that's
So
the
cool.
little nerd. Shannon is like, I was reading this book this week. Like, I was
Right?
I was
Right?
gonna say above the moon, over the moon. That's the expression. I was over the moon about it. So
Mm,
yeah,
I love it. I love it. And we
yeah,
just have so many cool resources for people, that have gone through big stuff and they have wisdom to share with our listeners. So I
yeah.
hope folks take advantage of that.
And that's what I was thinking about. She was talking about a God idea. And that is how I think about this podcast. We were
Mhm.
talking about it and you were like, what should it be on? I already knew because God already told
Mhm.
me the 8 dimensions of
Mhm.
wellness. He said,
Mhm.
everybody needs to hear about it. So,
Mhm.
um, that's what I was thinking about when she was talking about checking on your strong friends. Just because they're strong, just because they're doing well in some categories, doesn't mean they have all the resources they need in every single category.
Right?
And that was the frustrating part for me dealing with my mom and her not having the resources that I felt like in my heart I wanted for her. So I love that
Mm.
we get to do this and that 5 years, 219 episodes, we're still supporting authors and doing dancing and talking and holding on to joy, becoming the joy and being part of the change that we want to see in the world.
Right?
Yeah.
Anything we want to shout out to our authors before we close episode 219?
Yes. And talking about
Oh, I
books.
said listeners, but I said authors. It snuck out.
Okay. And it could be both. So, if you want to be one of our authors, the doors are open right now. We're about to jump on another call, y'all, at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time. So we have about 28 minutes if you have time tonight. And you can get the recording. If not, we know that everybody is busy and again, holding all the things that are already on your plate. But stories like this, if you've been
Mhm.
told that, hey, you need to tell this story and you feel like support will help you do that, we are here for you. If you're interested in doing an audio book, we do 3 different versions of the book like Harper was talking about. So hers is going to be really cool. We haven't talked about music and stuff. That's her project, but we could get you in the studio and we'll do the audio book so that they have different ways of listening to it, because not everybody takes the time to read or feels like they have that space when their kids are trying to tear those pages out. So we
Right.
got you covered so you can get the resources and enjoy our Women Connected.
Well, and I would just say we have our next call is coming up on March 18th for Do You Want to Be a Women Connecting Wisdom author? And we answer all your questions. And you can go to our website, womenconnectedinwisdom.com, and find out all about what we're up to, or our LinkedIn. It's in the show notes. But
Yeah.
we'd love to stay connected and have you join us.
Yes, thank you so much for being here, y'all. We'll be here again next week for episode 220, live at 5 Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, be well, be wise, be whole. We'll see you soon. Peace.
Thanks for listening. This has been the Women Connected in Wisdom podcast. On air live on Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Eastern via Facebook and YouTube. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Be part of the conversation and get connected at womenconnectedinwisdom.com.